self hatred or self loathing, criticizing yourself overly, over criticizing yourself is just a mechanism we use to convince ourselves that we are aware of our own mistakes, like that we are willing to change without actually doing so, uh, without actually doing the thing that would fix it or change your behavior, your next behavior. Instead of correcting the behavior, we retreat into our own heads and just compensating in ways that have nothing to do with the actual problem, with the actual issue. Say you broke a promise to yourself, like you were trying to stay consistent at the gym or read a certain number of pages every day, and you failed. Skip it enough times, and your brain starts to expect the failure, and it gets harder, each time, not easier. Eventually, you stop seeing yourself as someone who makes mistakes and start seeing yourself as the mistake. So I'm also guilty of this as well. I talked about this several times in my YouTube channel with different kind like views of video, the same idea, it's the same topic. A lot of what I make is drawn from like my own personal past bad habits or continue like things that I'm struggling with once I'm still working through it again as well. That's probably reason why I can talk about this with some honesty instead of detachment. I've lived inside it, and in some ways I still do. I don't think I'll ever fully become the person I want to be, but that's like not really the point. Why keeping it simple like doesn't always work is that like after enough failures, like I said, like you start talking to yourself as if you're not worth the privilege around you. Uh, like you're not worth reaching out to a parent, a friend, anyone. You just feel like you can just solve it by yourself. It's all me, all on me. Technically is, but like if you actually wanted to solve the problem, you'd make the plan more specific, not less. Like when I was trying to get into reading, I stopped treating read 20 pages as the goal. Is like the most vague, low effort plan ever, one of the, and like they often are harder to sustain than demanding ones. Like the same way staying consistent in the gym is far harder than just following a generic push pull legs routine. Our brains are complex enough that when a plan is too simple, we don't feel like we are earned anything from it, and we quietly just let it slide. Difficulty is often what generates the payoff. So the sense of having actually achieved something is earned by doing demanding things. So instead of simplifying the goal, it's better to change the substance of it, moving from, let's say, web novels, cheap, not really helping your articularity, do we call it, or speaking or writing, to fantasy fiction, to classics, to a bit of linguistics, keeping the routine but letting the content evolve, content change the content. Complexity applied deliberately is what keeps us engaged every single time we do it, and causes the least friction. Uh, Ironically, like the simpler it gets, you feel like, oh, there's just no way I can even read 20 pages a day. But the more specific, and you have a clear vision of what you want to be, what you want to achieve in the future, and you have really detailed plans, like from this time to this time you have to accomplish this task, and from this to this to accomplish this task. So you pile up these tasks, and you end up having to do this one thing for like an hour and a half, like fully locked in. That's a lot more demanding than 20 pages a day, but it's weirdly enough, it's just a lot more doable. I don't know why. It just causes a lot less friction. You don't have to force yourself to do it. You just feel like you want to do it. You have plans, you have vision, you are kind of expecting, you're being thrilled by just thinking of doing it because you have plans. So that's the thing that I wanted to talk about. And um, acting instead of thinking. I think I talked about this like millions of times in my channel. When you actually want to change something, you act, you have to execute so that your will tree, your body finally realizes that you are changing, you are leading the will tree inside you to a different direction. You don't just sit and think about it. I didn't always know this in high school. I was very depressed. I don't know why. I stayed up late because I had nothing else to do, nothing to look forward to for the next day. I felt hollow, void almost every day, and not living so much as existing, like a background extra in someone else's story, not even a named character, let's say. Um, like there's a line I keep coming back to. When a person lacks meaning, they surround themselves with satisfactions instead. I lacked meaning back then, and I'm not proud of how I treated myself during that period of my life. Looking back at it now, I feel something between shame and distance. Glad it's over, and never wanting to return to it. Um, Also about like criticism and self hatred that I talked about earlier. Like there's a real difference between healthy criticism, like criticizing yourself in order to improve, and simply hating yourself. But in the moment, that difference is almost, I think it's almost impossible to realize and be aware of it, to see. Like the clearest signal is, I think, is, are you speaking to yourself as someone who can change, or are you just um kind of lashing out, your emotion onto this image of yourself you decided to hate. So like when I was at my lowest, caught in the hatred, like I told myself things like I can't even live in this world. I'm a burden. I'm insufferable. That's not self-criticism. It's just self-punishment, and it doesn't move you anywhere. Like if you actually want to live the kind of life you are picturing, like your dream. We all have dreams to be someone, and the people around you can be proud of. Like the only way there is to act with honesty about what you actually need to do, and then do it. So like most people who feel like they're falling behind are falling behind simply because they haven't tried yet. Just like one focused hour a day sustained over like 100 days, puts you ahead of most of people, and everyone knows it. Like you just have to take the first step, and you feel like, okay, that wasn't that hard, and you can do it again the next day, and the next day, so on and so forth. Like it just goes on and on and on, and you realize you achieved so much uh, in like a span of months or years. Like I had a friend in high school who studied only like 2 hours a day every single day since elementary school. Like no stress because it had become routine. He graduated with honors. He wasn't exceptionally gifted. I really don't think so. Like he was exceptionally just consistent. As far as I know, it was some kind of a family routine. Do we call it a family thing? But his parents told him to do no matter what, and I think that's something I would love to teach my kids if I have kids in the future. um, Back to the main topic. Self hatred convinces you it's easier to do nothing. A few months ago, when I noticed myself slipping into that mindset, my fix was almost embarrassingly simple. Just go to bed early and wake up early instead. Even wasting 2 hours after waking at 6 a.m. Does far less damage than wasting 2 hours before falling asleep at 2 a.m. And I can't fully explain the mechanism, but waking up early consistently kind of pulled me out of that spiral cycle, loop more than anything else I did. And blaming yourself feels like, what do we call, awareness, like, which is what makes it really addictive. Yeah, it's my fault, and it is your fault, but the blame alone changes nothing if you're not acting on it. And it becomes a closed loop. Like, you blame yourself, which lets you do nothing, which gives you more to blame yourself for, and nothing changes. Like, the way out isn't a dramatic overhaul. Like, it's one genuinely good day. Like, once you have that, you realize how much closer it was than it felt at the beginning. Motivation from, a video, a conversation, a moment of inspirational things you've watched, always fades within days or weeks. What doesn't fade is a small win, stacked over and over on another small wins, other small wins. So health hatred is just a defense mechanism masquerading as accountability, a way to avoid making the same mistake again by making a different one, like doing nothing. You already know what you need to do. Like, that's the whole problem and the whole answer. That really is about it in this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.